There are three methods for running an email within TaskFlow. The first method we're going to look into is more of a traditional method using a two-step process in TaskFlow for a job, and that would be to create a PDF and then run script, which is going to run an email script. So the job we're going to look at is puppy, and this job is made up of two steps: a create PDF, which is pretty standard, and then an email step. So if we look at the email step itself, it is a protected task. And if we look at the options here, it's really capturing anything you need for email. So from, to, CC, blind, CC, etc. These are optional, of course. And then subject, email text is for if you're sending to a user and they don't have HTML text, it will use this option. And then of course you can attach an email HTML file. Then what file you're going to attach and any email options. So if we go back to puppy, we look at the job settings. Here's where all our initial job settings are set up. And this data file is an XML with a .origin processing instructions. So if I view the data file itself up here, you can see that I have the job as puppy and it's using the puppy XUTW. And then it has a default output, which I'm actually overwriting. And then you can see here, it just says a few fields here. And one of them is a to email, which I just defined and set up for my Yahoo account. And then name and some customer service notes and address. So if I close back out of that, you can see that automatically .origin has brought in the DOPI job, which is the job name. And then the form name, which is in the processing instructions, and the DOPI output. And generally we'd have this output by default is going to be set or defined to the DOPI output. But in this case, I'm just renaming it. So those are our initial job settings. So our PDF step is going to be pretty simple because most of those things are set up in the job setting. So our form design is inherited right here, $form, and it's to be inherited. And so that'll come out of the job settings, which is actually coming from the data file. And then we have a config file, and our output is also inherited. And there you saw that we're overwriting it with a custom PDF name. And then we're propagating two fields, one being to email and the other being name. So name is used in our HTML page and to email is used in our step. And the reason we need to propagate those fields is that we'll be using it in a separate step, and these fields are available anytime you're within a merge step. You can just embed those with a square bracket. But since we're using a run script and email, that step is separate, so we have to propagate those fields so they're available in the next step. Now let's look at email. Our email options, I have my from email as do not reply at .origin.com. This would generally come from the user's sendmail parm file. And then my email to, which is a variable, and if you look down here in my options for this task, my email to really is my -2 option for email, and it's captured by the setting called email to. So in this case, a lot of our examples have been literally going to me specifically, for example, leslie.conduit@eclipsecorp.us. But in this case, we're actually going to propagate the field. And I will note that if you go grab the field from here, it has name, address, and to field. It will insert that as a square bracket, but currently we require that that be in a wiggly brackets. So just override the square brackets. And then our subject, we can use either the field's name or to email, but obviously name would be more appropriate. So hey name, enjoy your puppy. And then just some notes to us for testing. This job was generated in TaskFlow using two steps, one being create PDF, two being email with an HTML file as the email HTML. Now this file here, the HTML message, is a setting called email_HTML, and that of course is defined down in our options in our task. So our -HTML is that file. And notice, just like if we're embedding our TFs and such, we're using our square bracket at, and then the location of that email name. I apologize for being lengthy, but that's in our user forms folder. And then Email Monster, that's just the tool that I use to create this HTML email page. And then it's just a generic .origin promotion with name being with the field name variable, just so I know to myself not to use this on, let's say the purchase order example. I know that I'm requiring name in there because it's embedded. So if I look at that actual HTML page, which is up here, it looks like this. So square bracket name, which will be passed by propagating the field to the email body. Thank you for the business. And then it just highlights some of our features of .origin itself. And you can embed, we can talk about this, but embed, links here just as you would in any HTML. This is just a hot link. That's just our email body that we've attached. And of course, we've loaded that in our forms folder. So let's give this a shot and test it out. And of course, my email attachment is my output from my step 1, which is create PDF. So if we go to test, and if I test it out, I get a successful PDF. So here's my PDF with just a basic form. And then if you scroll through here, these are all the files that are associated with this job. And here's my email. If I download that email, assuming you have an email program associated with an email file, I can double click on this and it's going to launch my email itself. It's going to the Leslie Conduit at Yahoo. And then it has puppy_Lauren_Jackson, which of course we're replacing any spaces or special characters with underscores automatically when embedded as a PDF file name. And then I have my date timestamp, divided by dashes. And then of course, here is my HTML page. And as standard, we're hiding any of our images and the user can opt to download those. So I can click here and say download. So that's really it. Now let's review setting up email in TaskFlow with a run script option. Thank you for watching this video, brought to you by Eclipse Corporation.